That's part of our consultation, actually. We don't want to just sell you your dream home. We want you to build a future, right?
Yeah.
It's just a surreal feeling because having our agents involved with that, having the community literally form lines around the whole block, it makes me feel good that we're able to be in a position, even though we're just starting, to be able to give that back to that many people. Nothing is perfect. Anytime you're opening an office, anytime you're opening a business, I'm sure anytime a new system comes up for you, it's not perfect. You just got to figure out how it works or make it better.
Nobody's going to care about your business more than you.
Absolutely.
But you're getting all of them to buy into your vision.
Yes.
Okay. And the way that you do that is good culture and treating it like a family.
Absolutely.
Okay, we are very excited. Here we are, episode 7 of Rate of Success podcast. I could not be more excited. Our special guest today is Jose Arroyo. So Jose and I met a very long time ago when Jose first got in the business, and we kind of went our separate ways. I was in the midst of joining another company and kind of transferring around, getting situated at the new company. And we reconnected. I hope to kind of go through some of that, and I'm excited to welcome him here to kind of talk through. He's got a great story. Jose just opened up a new office, so I hope we can talk about that. So, Jose, why don't you talk a little bit about how long you've been in the business and kind of where you're at currently?
Yeah, first of all, thank you for having me, Eric. I'm excited to be here. In regards to me being in the business, I've been in the business now year 5, going into year 6, and couldn't be happier about where I'm at right now. I'm very excited about. At this point, I guess I'm a toddler or a little bit older than a toddler, I guess, and in my real estate industry, but I'm hoping to grow into a young adult now. That's the plan. And you hit it big. We did reconnect. I always laugh about that. Maybe my early on time in the business would have been a lot easier had I just stuck with you from the beginning,
Well, you're being very modest about it, but you've been in the business for 5 years.
Yeah.
Okay. You've had, a rapid acceleration of growth from where you're at. And I've been in the business 20 some years, and most of the realtors that I work with do not have this rapid growth that you've had. Okay, so I want to unpack it a little bit and kind of talk through a little bit. What was your path even getting to real estate before? Because obviously, as I always say on this podcast, we don't ever plan to be in real estate.
Yeah.
Real estate, it happens by accident at some point. So how did we get to real estate before that?
I think you're right. For me, it wasn't planned at all. However, I kind of had an idea that I wanted to be in some sort of business from the beginning. That was always my dream and my goal. I went to school for small business administration, and I ended up falling into the corporate world, corporate ladder. I needed to provide for my family, and at that point, I was doing well. I was working for a bank back then, TCF Bank. I was there for 5 years. I moved up in 5 years. I moved up to be the highest paid employee there over employees that were there 10, 15 years. Because I always wanted to do anything that I did, I wanted to make sure I was the best at it. Again, it wasn't enough for me. I was very ambitious. I was young. I wanted to do more. I was working overtime, and I was like, man, I was looking at these paychecks coming in, and I'm looking at the real estate paychecks coming in because I'm working at the bank. And I'm like, what am I doing wrong? Why haven't I pursued getting my own business like I always wanted to? And eventually I made the jump. I got my license in 2018, but I was still stuck. I was still stuck for at least a year in the corporate world because I had my license, but I didn't know what to do.
Yeah.
I had my license. I was in an office. I was close by, but it was so outdated that it didn't fit what I needed. So it took about a year or so until I finally had enough, and where there was a position that was made available that I really wanted to. If anything, I kind of made that position become available. However, since, again, I was escalating in that company, I had just made a recent move within the same company. So for political reasons, I couldn't make another move.
Yeah.
That really hurt. So I was ready to you know what? I am killing myself over this job. Let me take the next step and work for myself. So I always tell this to everybody. That's why I'm a big believer in 401ks, because I took out the money out of my 401k to start my business.
Yeah.
Thank you so much to my family for trusting me in doing that. It made some big changes to get my business started. Big transition from where we were used to, but it paid off. It paid off because in a way, I bet on myself to make that happen.
So let's talk about that a little bit, because I think that's hard for a lot of people to know and understand when you make a move like that, because it's huge. It's not just your decision.
Yes.
You have to get buy-in from your family.
Yes.
And one of the things we talk about in a lot of the interviews that we've done is it's more than just us. Like we have support outside of, you know, because it takes that whole, you know, family, because there's we always talk about sacrifice. So there's sacrifice in the decisions that we make. And when you're, you know, walking away from a guaranteed paycheck.
Yes, a 9 to 5, 9 to 6, whatever it is. You're there on the weekends. It's a big transition to go from that to a business. You're now working 24/7.
Yeah.
And if you want to be a top agent in this business, you have to work nonstop, especially at the beginning.
Yeah.
So you're right. And this is one thing I tell my agents too, is that you need to have that conversation with your family. They need to be your support system too. They need to understand that right now you got to go for every business. So that means if I'm having dinner, I got to stop what I got to do if a client's calling me.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not going to be here in the weekends. I'm not going to be here evenings. I'm sacrificing this time now so I could get my business going.
Yeah.
So having that conversation and having their support is extremely, extremely crucial, because if you don't do that, you're just setting yourself to fail.
Yeah, I love that you said that you discuss that with your agents, because it's something that when anybody wants to get in the mortgage business, it's always, I don't ask the questions that they think I'm going to ask.
Yeah.
I'm always like, so what is your home life like? Like, is your wife supporting you? Is your husband going to support you?
Yes,
because
you do ask that.
Yeah, because that is like the most important thing, because when you take that call during dinner or you're on vacation, if your significant other isn't supportive of that, you know, it's difficult. So did you have anybody that, like a mentor when you were younger, that kind of guided you, you know, to kind of make a big step like that? Because most people would have never have given up what you did to start. And obviously it's paid off.
Yes.
Okay. But was there someone that you leaned on heavily to kind of help you with those decisions?
Absolutely. I mean, early on in my business, I always think about two people. And one of them, you know, Brian Ernst. I was part of his team. He taught me a lot in regards to coaching. He taught me a lot in regards to structure. He was heavy on the structure and heavy on, if you're going to do something, do it right kind of thing. A little too heavy. However, I found the balance that I had to put my own twist into it at the end.
Yeah.
So that was a big influence on me in regards to, hey, how to set up your team, how to set up your business, how to take care of a listing appointment and things of that nature. Hey, make sure your family is on board and they understand what you're doing. Hey, get here at 7:30 and you clock out when you're done with your work. Yeah. You know, I was there from 7:30, maybe sometimes 7 o'clock at night. So that was one big early on mentor that I had that kind of gave me an idea of like, this is what it takes to be a top producer in the business. However, I also wanted to put my own spin to it, because I wanted to make sure real estate, in my eyes, is very, very stressful. The process can be simple the more you do it. However, I want to make it fun. I want to make it me. I want to make sure I'm having fun doing this. I don't want to be doing this 10 years down the line and we're closing deals, but I'm not happy with it, right? Like I want to find happiness with it. I want to do my own spin to it. I want to make sure it's me, right? After that, I connected with my best friend, JC, who was also in the business. He was with another company and we started working together. And it was mentorship, but it was more so accountability. Yeah. We were just working together every single day, pushing each other. How many do you have under contract? Hey, I have 5. I'm like, damn, why don't I have 5? So we were always competing with each other. Like, hey, come on, step it up. I got 5 under contract. Hey, I just got this many pre-approvals. How many you got? Literally every single day we would go over our pipeline and just push each other that way. Yeah. In a way, we were talking smack, but we were trying to elevate each other. That helped me a lot because he would talk to me about his experiences and his struggles with his business. And I would talk about my experiences and struggles with my business. Yeah. Lead generation, we split that up. So like, hey, you try this, I try that. Let's see what works, let's see what doesn't work. Yeah. And early on, we found like, hey, we just got to talk to as many people as possible. We just started, any lead that we got, we'll just, hey, where are you? Oh, what are you doing? I'll meet you at your house right now. I'll meet you at Starbucks right now. Yeah. The beginning of my business, I met so much people at Starbucks, they started thinking I worked there. I had people like reaching out to me, it's like, hey, you work at the one on 47th Street? I'm like, no, that's just my place of business. Yeah, yeah. But that's where I would meet my clients, and we'll do whatever we had to do to get them prepared. We'll literally go to their house, go do the consultation. Right then and there, we would help them with the application. And then lender was happy. We'll get everything put together. And we just started figuring out as much as we can that way. Yeah. And that's how we started out in our business. So for those new agents, because I know a lot of new agents are going to watch this, right? Go meet people. Just whoever you're talking to, stop the phone, go meet with them ASAP. And then piece it together from there. Because when you're in front of somebody, you're going to be able to get all their personal information that you need to close the deal. They're going to make sure that you know you're there to help them, which is the most important. And lastly, you're going to be able to piece it together better that way than over the phone and not get a full encompass on the whole story. Yeah, I mean, I love you mentioned accountability, that's what it provided you. And I think that's something that
you do such a great job of with your agents is I think you have fun, but you also provide that accountability and you kind of give back to the agents that come to your office. But one of the things that I really wanted to talk about is you've been in the business 5 years. Again, you've had this rapid growth, but you talked a lot about meeting face-to-face, and it's very old school. You know, that's how we always would do that. Most realtors entering the business, they think of, I'm going to do social media. My phone's going to start ringing. I'm going to buy these leads, or I'm going to there's so many different, paths to being busy, in the real estate business or as a lender. What I love about what you do is you meet with so many of your clients face-to-face, which is very, very unique. And I'm sure it has a lot to do with your, position in the community and how you want to be viewed by, your community, because you do so much, and we will talk about that. But you touched on it, but what do you tell newer agents on, the difference of meeting face-to-face and having those conversations versus where most people do not meet face-to-face? A lot of times people are meeting their clients for the very first time at the house. Someone reaches out. So explain a little bit about that. What is so different about your business by how you do it? Because I know you do it different because you're meeting with all your clients at the office before. And I think a lot of people would be shocked at that because they don't do that. So what's your main reason for that?
Honestly, the fact that you're saying that is kind of surprising to me if other agents think that way. I'm always a big believer in that we're in the business of relationships, and that's what we sell. We sell homes as a byproduct, but we are in the business of creating relationships. And why is that important? Because you have to meet with them face to face. You have to establish a relationship. You have to establish trust. They have to vibe with you, like you. That's how they're going to feel comfortable with you whenever it comes to a situation. Hey, I don't like the house. Or, hey, this is over my budget, right? You'll get a lot more from that client, meeting face-to-face, making them feel comfortable, being a cheerleader about the process. Like, hey, this is a daunting process for most people. They're scared because they don't want to be rejected. But, hey, we're going to make this fun because I have that system down. Trust me. I'm going to take you through this. You just got to focus on finding a house that you love.
Yeah.
That's it.
I think when you open up your own office, you're getting people to buy into your vision and the way that you do things. And you feel like I say it's unique. You don't realize it's unique, but I will tell you that it's unique, okay? Because most realtors do not do that. And I talk to a lot of realtors. So you're meeting them face to face. I think that's why whatever happened with compensation on August 17th really didn't affect your office and your business as much because you were already doing buyer consultations. There wasn't a lot of change.
There wasn't. If anything, all we did is change the end of our consultation to like, hey, now we're going to talk about the buyer's agreement. But we already had that conversation about compensation and how that worked. All we had to do was a slight tweak. It's like, hey, here's how it works now. And guess what? Whenever we bring them in, this is why, and you said it's important about, in a way, guiding them, right? When you bring them in and do the consultation, what I like to say is like, I become the captain. Because this is my process. This is how I work. I have a lot of clients that come in like, hey, I work with so-and-so, but now I want to work with you. And I'm like, okay, let's go sit down. It's like, no, but I already know the process. No, but you don't know how my process works. So I want you to sit down with you and go over it with you. Once I finish it, I'm like, hey, did they go over all this with you? And 10 out of 10, no, nobody has ever taught me this the way you did. I feel a lot better in the whole process. And that's how they know that I provided that value. And guess what? Now I'm captain of the ship. I'm guiding them through all that. Because now that we talk about compensation, they know my value.
Exactly.
They know I'm worth that because Jose is going to take care of that for me.
I love that because I think that's the key. And I also think that's what they refer. When someone says like, oh, very few times does someone say, oh, you got to use Jose because he found me the perfect home. That's a given. Like your job is to find them the perfect home. It's a much better referral when they say, hey, I met with Jose and his team. They educated me on the process. You have to work with, like the referral is going to be so much stronger.
Absolutely.
Because that process up front is what they really are referring and everything that you help them do. And what I do love, and I hope you can touch on it a little bit, is one of the things I talk a lot about is I feel like there's a financial literacy problem in the United States.
Absolutely.
There's, what we take for granted, many other people struggle with. And sometimes I even find that they're afraid to even ask questions of what they don't know what they don't know. Okay. And a lot of times that's what's preventing them from purchasing a home or even worse, making bad decisions leading up to buying a home. But if they knew, they would be able to make. So how much do you focus on education? Because the transaction's tough. and you're going to go through a lot of that process.
Yes.
But really the education of, being able to build wealth, help their family,
Yes.
completely transform the trajectory of their life. I mean, one of the things I always say is like, you think about all the memories you have as a child in your home, okay? And you're helping people create that.
Yeah.
And how much do you spend on education helping them through that?
That's a great question. And you're referring to my clients, right?
Yeah, yeah.
That's part of our consultation, actually. We don't want to just sell you your dream home. We want you to build a future, right?
Yeah.
So we talk about, hey, what situation are you in? Where do you want to be? It's a multi-unit route. Can we create some wealth that way?
Yeah.
Can we then maybe get a single family house now? But hey, do you know what you need to do to buy a multi-unit and create generational wealth that way?
Yeah.
I had a client that bought a single family house. I'm like, hey, why don't you I heard this from a friend. They bought a multi-unit for each one of their kids. That was their college funds. He kept that in his head. He came back to me a year later and said, hey, Jose, I'm ready to buy that multi-unit. Because in that initial conversation, even though he was buying a single family house, we went over multi-unit investments and what he needed.
Yeah.
And he came back ready. And that was a done deal.
Yeah.
That's a repeat client. And he was ready to take that move. And he's already building for that next one too. So that's extremely important to understand your options as a buyer and how you could use real estate to create wealth. Now, in regards to financial literacy, this is something that's been very huge. And I think one thing that I've been focusing more so in my community is credit. Majority of my clients, majority of our community does not know anything about credit. And I think that's a very, very important factor because at least that way it starts the conversation and having those financial literacy talks in regards to how much money should I be saving? How can I be responsible with my debt? And those are the things that I'm focusing on now to educate the community more. So that way they have like steps and at least a know-how of like, hey, this is what responsible building will look like.
And I think it's important too, because the thing that I see, and I always, it pains me to see a lot of times is, they get bad advice, okay? And credit score that could be higher. Now they're paying higher on everything that they borrow. They go buy a car, they go do everything. And it just kind of piles on more and more. And they never quite get beyond that. But then when they sit down with someone like yourself and they get a little bit of advice and they learn education piece of it and how it can help them buy a house, it can completely transform their life. And I feel like our industry owes it to communities and to people to provide a better future through understanding credit, financial literacy. We see even like, payday loans, things like this that, completely take advantage of our clients. And it's really out of just not understanding the process. So it's something that we definitely need to pay more attention to.
And that's something that I teach my agents, I go over that with my clients as well as far as how to calculate their debt to income ratio.
Yeah.
Like, hey, here's exactly how these debts are affecting you for your purchase power in a home. This is what you're looking at, the lender's looking at. This is what we are looking at to see where you're at in your pre-qualification to determine, hey, we want to be within your budget, or hey, you're not going to be where you want to be. Here's what you need to do to get there. And that could be a process of eliminating debt, or it could be a process of, hey, maybe there's income in there that we're not taking into account.
Yeah, and I think that's great. So what I wanted to go back a little bit on is you were successful in business, in real estate, okay? You could have...
I guess so.
Yeah, well, you are, and you could have stayed on that path, okay? But then you decided to take another risk, okay? And you decided to open up your own office.
Yeah. Which,
again, is not for everyone.
Yeah.
Okay. And again, as an agent, that's your focus. It's a full-time job. It's not 9 to 5. It's 7 days a week. So it's already a lot. What was the thought process to say, not only do I want to do this, I now want to open an office. I want to manage other, people. Okay. Yeah. I want to take all that stress on. What was that transition like? Was it always something that you thought you would do, or was there a progression to that?
It's a good question. I wish you would have told me all that before I opened the office, to be honest.
Well, maybe it's better you didn't think about it. Yeah. Well, you know what? Hold on. I love that. So maybe that's the answer is you didn't think about
I did
other
not
pieces.
think about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did not think about it in regards to like the whole outcome. Just like you put it out, it's as you're saying it in my head, I'm like, oh my God, you're right. I should have thought about that.
Isn't that the reason why you're successful is you're not thinking about what
We're
if.
just going.
You're just charging forward. And that says a lot about who you are and why you've made it to where, because most people think about all those steps and they don't do it because they're afraid of failure.
We knew the road was going to be hard, but it wasn't in front of our heads. What we were focused on, to answer your question, from the beginning, we knew we were going to open an office. And the reason we knew that was because it was going to be a progression for us. It was a status to become top producers, to develop a top producing team, to then opening our own office. And we knew we wouldn't be able to open our office until our teams were top producing, because we needed to make sure you spoke to me about this. In order to elevate, you got to delegate, right? So once our teams were almost 100% delegated, we knew we could have then focused to another business, right? And that has transitioned from that has transitioned to open more opportunities for us and to opening more businesses, such as a title company, being able to get more leverage for my listings. Now we're going to start opening and having real estate classes at our office as well. The office itself, yes, I should have probably done more research into the problems that it causes. However, there was more opportunity, and we knew that. And we knew it was going to be a lot of work. We haven't even earned a penny yet from the office. The office is full go. We are acting like a big brand office, but we're reinvesting all that money back to our agents, back to the office, so that way we could make it as big as possible, make CloudGate Realty one of the biggest offices in Chicago in the next, hopefully 3 to 5 years.
I love that. Is there anything looking back that you mentioned a little bit, but is there anything looking back that you wish, you would have thought about a little bit more? Or is the experience of going through everything kind of why you're where you are?
We rolled with the punches for sure.
Yeah.
And that's how we learned. If looking back at it, one thing I would have done differently is taking a little bit more time and had our structures together in regards to, there's no manual to real estate. But when you have an office, you need to have some sort of manual to it, so that you could coach your agents and take them to that next level, right? I'm going to open an office and I can provide you value to help your business. And that's one thing that we figured out as we were going, and we figured that out well. However, had we done that from the beginning, I think we would have been in a way better position now.
Yeah.
But nevertheless, I think we're going in the direction we wanted to go.
And I will say this, and I've told you this before privately, but when we first met all the way back with Brian, you definitely stood out. Like you motivated, I remember like nothing about your trajectory has been a surprise to me. Nothing. Like you've had that drive, and I know a lot of realtors. I talk to realtors every single day. Like you definitely had a specific, work ethic that is, a lot of people have work ethic, but you really want it. Like you're all in.
Yeah.
Okay. You don't just walk the walk. Like you actually put in the time and you do that. So it's been great to kind of see this. And I remember when we were sitting in this office and you told me you were gonna, be starting an office. I wasn't surprised.
Yeah.
Okay. I will say this. What I was surprised is how quickly you had an impact as a business owner, but also in your community. I love what you've been able to build as an office, but I think it's even more important what you've done in your community, because it's not just about you. And it's not just about, you've given a ton back to the community. I'd love to talk about that a little bit. What I think is even more is you've given a lot back to the agents in your office.
Yes.
You have a particular culture in your office. You have fun. You are doing events constantly with your team. We've hung out with you guys. I can't keep up at almost 50 years old, but you lead in a particular way that people want to be around you. So I'd love for you to talk a little bit about kind of the community and kind of what you're giving back, because I feel like you give up so much when most people, there's a lot of egos in our business.
Yes.
Okay. And we make everything about us.
Yeah.
Okay. What is it that kind of, where you're so willing to give back to so many other people?
I'm a big believer in, if you give, you will receive. In regards to the community, that's part of what we do to help out, right? Me and JC, my business partner, came from humble beginnings. And we understand that there's a lot of families out there that need help, not just with the home buying process, but overall with day-to-day living, right? We help out in regards to the community with like back to school drive, toy drives, turkey drives, in which I'm very grateful for you also helping with those. Yeah. And those are huge because the community, not just within the community, but they help us.
Can we just talk about those a little bit? We kind of glossed over it. So talk a little bit about the back to school drive and talk a little bit about the turkey, because I think those two events are amazing.
Those are our biggest events. One of my favorites, personal favorites, is the back to school drive. We give out backpacks to the community, free backpacks, school supplies. We have ice cream. We have vendors there to give them free haircuts. Free haircuts. Literally, we want to make this event for the kids and for the community, for those families that need help. and we get a lot of families. We had a double the turnout from last year as we're making our footprint known there in that location. It's just a surreal feeling because having our agents involved with that, having the community literally form lines around the whole block, it makes me feel good that we're able to be in a position, even though we're just starting, to be able to give that back to that many people. The next one is the turkey drive, in which we give, last year we gave 250 turkeys to the community, right? This year we're looking to get 350, if not more. So again, these are things that we're doing for the community. We're giving them raffles. We're giving them even clothes, whatever we can to help out the community. We're going to be involved with it. From a perspective from the business, it also helps us to get attraction so that they know that CloudGate is not just about selling houses, it's about giving back to the community and helping out whoever we can.
I think it's amazing because, like I said, there's a lot of egos in our business, and we do a lot of stuff for ourselves. Like if you look around at competitors, like, what you're doing is very unique, and it says a lot about you, and it says a lot about what you're building. And I feel like you mentioned the word attraction. Oddly enough, I just sent everyone a YouTube video about attraction and how, you want to attract people to what you're doing, not recruit them, and how, and I feel like you do that. I feel like people that come to you, want to work with you because of who you are, what you've done to the community. And I think it's this business, if you do it just for the money, you're going to get burnt out really, really fast.
Absolutely.
You have to find other ways to motivate yourself because, as someone who's been in the business 20 years, like money that goes away quickly. It's all the other impacts that you have. And something someone said to me, and I mentioned it yesterday, was, everyone says, oh, I want to help the community, or you want to help veterans, you want to do, but everyone always says that, but what are you actually doing?
What action are you actually
doing? Yeah. And you're actually doing that. So I love that. Can you talk a little bit about, so you have this community help, you do all this. Is there something that, motivate you outside of all that? Like, what's your why of, I know it's probably family, I'm assuming that, but like, what is Jose, what does it look like 5 years from now, 10 years from now?
Yeah. I mean, it's funny you say that, because I wanted to ask you that same question, right?
Yeah.
Like, I wanted to know, like, who's Eric outside of this, right?
Yeah.
Like what's the why behind it? And like you said, I don't want to hear family either.
Yeah.
For me, honestly, it's, I'm a little selfish. I do want an empire. I think from the moment I came here to the United States, I wanted to have my name known. And that's really my why. Like, I want my name to be recognized. I want my kids to walk around and like, oh my God, there's my dad.
Yeah.
Like see a billboard or just be recognized, or people talk about me.
Yeah.
That's what I got from my father. My father passed away before I was born, but I know him through other people.
Yeah.
They'll say, oh, your dad did this. Oh, he was known for this. And that was a good feeling for me. I was like, man, my dad was awesome, right? But I never got to meet him. And I want that for my kids. I want them, but I want to be here, of course.
Yeah.
But like, I want them to like just be proud of who they are.
Yeah.
And have a name to stick out for, you know? And that's what I want to build.
Yeah.
When I came here, as soon as I came here, I saw the big skyscrapers. I remember I went to a community school and I was like, oh my God, the school's amazing. Turns out I wasn't in the best part of town, but it was a great school nonetheless. Yeah. And that really inspired me. I was like, man, there's a whole different world that I was never aware of. And now I want to basically conquer it all.
I mean, I think your story too can also be very motivational to a lot of other people that have a similar story. Honestly, I never knew that about your dad. Growing up, obviously having a son now, is it something you think about a lot and showing your son like kind of, the path to what you've built and how you've built it? Is that something you think about a lot?
Absolutely, I do.
Yeah.
And the reason I do is because like I never had a father growing up, but I have father figures.
Yeah.
And that's what motivates me to be a great dad.
Yeah.
You know, so that my son has me there. I never had that figure there. I want to make sure he does.
Yeah.
But also that I want to make sure that he knows that he could do this even more.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's something honestly has always been in the back of my head.
And I think we always struggle with, and I know I do this, is like you work a lot of hours and you want to be there for your family, but you're also providing for your family. You're trying to build this special, business. And, I think the thing that I always say, and my wife and I always talk about is, your son's going to look at you and be like, wow, you're teaching him work ethic right now. You're teaching him hard work. So it's sacrifice because maybe you're not there as much as you would like.
Yes.
And I'm not there as much as I would like. But that sacrifice is what your son sees, and that's what's going to show him work ethic. And I think in a lot of ways that's what helps, because I grew up and my dad was always working weekends and everything. And I saw him working. He never sat still. And that's why I'm always the same way. Like I'm constantly going. So you're teaching your son something really important. So you mentioned about, my why. I'll just tell you real quick. I did not go to college. Okay. I have no college degree. Struggled in high school. In grade school, I had a stuttering problem. Like I had to see a speech therapist. Like I had a rough at times, growing up, but I went to a speech therapist. So here I am. I could never speak in front of people. Now I speak in front of people all the time. I have a podcast studio. For me, it's always been about, just challenging myself as much as possible. I obviously, because of that struggle when I was younger, not going to college, all my friends go to college. They're all getting jobs. I was trying to find my way, but I was just a hustler and I wanted to make it. And I wanted to build something for myself and try to make it. So for me, it was going through all those struggles that really kind of made me, I think, who I am. And obviously it was a lot of my dad too. My mom and dad, regardless of, my bad decisions growing up, they were always kind of there to support me. Yeah. And I kind of felt like if I didn't figure it out, I was going to kind of let them down. So for me, it was really just kind of trying to figure that out. So for me, that's a lot of, what I did. Now, obviously, for you, what I have always respected a ton is how, you seem very even keel on everything. Like I don't see a lot of, you don't get hopped up too much, but I also don't see you kind of, really low if something is happening. Even if we have a challenging file or anything, you're always very, calculated. So is that something you're aware of, or it's something you think about, or is that how you've always been? And maybe you hang up the phone and start swearing. But to me, you always seem, and I think that's why you're so successful.
Yes, I know I am that way. I think I'm that way on purpose, to be honest. I don't like to make rash decisions. And especially when we have problems with any file, my first thing is it's how are we going to move this file forward? Yeah. We could get upset as much as we want. However, that's not going to help anything. How are we going to get this to the closing table? How are we going to help this buyer? What's the solution here? Because if I dwell on problems every single day, I would never be where I'm at today. Yeah. And I'm sure you're probably the same way. We dwell that much on problems. Yeah. Are there things that get us upset? Absolutely. However, there's some times where we got to understand where we got to let our egos go and then move things forward. Yeah. And then we'll take care of it when we got to take care of it.
How are you handling conflict? And if it's a client or another realtor, how does that sit with you for a while, or can you pretty much let it go pretty quickly?
That's a good question. It depends on the situation. Yeah. There's some files, there's some agents that just hurt, but that's just part of the business. Yeah. And I think at this point in the business, I know it's part of the game already. It doesn't affect me as much. Does it affect me? Absolutely. But I know I got to keep moving forward, because if I let one deal, one agent kill my day, what's that doing for the other agents that I need to support, or the other families that I'm helping with the process as well? It doesn't. So I know I need to let that go as soon as I can. And I catch myself rather quickly whenever I'm feeling like, oh, man, why did this happen? And I'm like, all right, let's just keep it moving. Nothing I can do here. I'll analyze it sometimes at the moment or later on at night, reflect on, hey, did I handle this the best way I could? Or could I have done something better?
And I think that's the key. And you kind of took the conversation where I was hoping you would, is I always see that you care. Okay. And you can't teach someone to care, is what I always say. Like when you hire someone, you can have the most qualified person, but if they don't care, they may not be a good fit for your team, because you need people to, it needs to bother you. Okay. But it can't consume you.
Exactly.
And I think you do a good job of, okay, this is a problem, but this is going to be the solution. You're very solution oriented. Yes. That's why you're a good business owner. And you don't let the problem kind of rule the rest of the conversation. You're looking for the solution. But I think that also allows you to not carry things with you too much. Like you said, you want to analyze it later. Could you do something different? Could you have handled it different? What can I learn from it? But I think sometimes people in our business, it will consume them. It'll weigh on them. Yes. And then every decision they make after that is because of that, what they're carrying. Yes. And I've always, respected that of you is, we've had some, difficult files or difficult situations. The path to the solution was always easier because we didn't have to go through all the stress of why is this happening? What's going on? Yeah. I commend you, because I don't know if you realize how much how helpful that is to us as a lender when we don't have to sit. There's a trust there.
Right.
You trust us, I trust you, and we're going towards a solution. And we get to that solution a lot quicker because we're not like, there's not this anger getting to there. Yeah.
And then that's one thing you and Tom, I commend you guys on, because every time you guys talk to me about like, hey, we got to jump on a call about a certain problem, you guys don't call me unless you already have options or solutions that we can work on. And then I think there's another part to that too. Like a lot of people are always stuck, okay, let's find the solution. But also you gotta, before you find the solution, you also gotta think of outcomes, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's one thing we're very good at. All my business partners are very good at that. It's like, hey, okay, we go this route, what's going to happen? You know, is this actually the best solution here?
Is it good for the consumer?
Is it good for the consumer? What is it going to affect, et cetera? And for every business decision that we do, whenever we have an agent that's not feeling happy or they're being in their shell, okay, if we handle it this way, how are they going to feel? You know, or what's a possible outcome here before we actually tackle it? To make sure we're actually doing the right decision and how we're handling it appropriately.
One of the things I always like to talk about, is there ever a situation where you would walk away from a client?
I don't think I've ever faced that. Like I just walk away from a client. I mean, I've butted heads with clients before, but it's more so to get an understanding of each other. There's some clients that are just a little stubborn, and you have to do what you have to do. There are certain deals that I have had to walk away from just because it wasn't worth it in the end. It wasn't worth my time. And I think that's what it always comes down to. Is it worth my time, and is it affecting other people? That's kind of like my top process whenever I deem it something is worthy of me taking the time with or spending the time with.
And I think you touched on it, is it affecting other people? Because I think sometimes get so focused in on something, but yet it's taken us away from providing the attention that other people deserve.
Exactly.
That are, respecting your process, your time. And sometimes when you focus too much time and energy on that one client, you're missing opportunities with others. That's why I was like asking that question, because it's not that you want to walk away from business, but sometimes, you're in this business long enough and there's just certain deals that just aren't
they're not meant for you.
Yeah, exactly.
They're just not meant for you.
So one of the things I always like to talk about, your wife is on your team.
Yes.
Okay. So I don't think I could work with my wife, and I have joked about it a couple times. Like my wife and I get along great, but working, as a team, in a business takes a very special, relationship to be able to do that. So what was that decision like? Was it natural, or was there some thought to that?
It wasn't natural. It was more so to fill a need, to be honest. However, it worked out wonderfully in the end. It's not easy working with your spouse, significant other, because there's always going to be a situation in which maybe you don't see eye to eye. And not just that, the business now translates home. Thankfully, with enough practice and time, we were able to separate the both. However, there are times where it has to translate over one way or another. Does it help? Yes, because you're going to have someone there that now knows your day-to-day and can help you with it. And, in this business, sometimes you need something at 10, 11 o'clock at night that needs to, client thinks it's an emergency, so we have to take care of it right away. And that helps. However, one thing that I would say, it takes time, because now you're adding them, they're seeing a different side of you, They're seeing you be a boss, if anything, right?
Yeah.
For me, in my example, I'm the boss of the team, so there's a different dynamic there that they got to get used to. It works for some, because I do know some other couples that do make it work. We made it work through the process and making sure that, hey, these are your duties. As long as you're doing this, you're good. This is what I'm doing. As long as I'm doing this, we're good. Right? And then we just meet in between whatever issues come up.
It's great. That's great. No, I've always respected how you've handled it. And I think it's important, because a lot of people always maybe shy away from that.
Yes.
You guys make it look easy from the outside looking in. So,
and this is one thing about me in business, or me at work in general. And this I told to my team, as soon as you cross that door, you leave whatever it's happening at home. At the door, know? And that should stay over there. So same mentality with the team, same mentality with my wife, is that as soon as we get through that door, we're at work, this is our business now. Anything that happened at home stays there.
And I think maybe you can appreciate this a little bit as well, as that was the biggest thing when I became a branch manager, is I was always so focused on me when I was just in production, and that was my sole responsibility. Now I know a lot more about people's personal lives, what's going on, and it's a heavy weight, and it's different conversations. It's something that wears on me at times, because now you're not just a loan officer or a realtor, you're a manager
You're a
and
manager.
you're helping them. And I love that you said that, you leave it at the door, because that's something we talk about. I'm more than happy to have a discussion about this, but we also have to remember we have all these people that are depending on us for the biggest decision of their life.
Absolutely.
Okay. And while this is really important, okay, and we will address that, we also have to not let it translate into where other people know something is going on.
Yes.
And that's the hardest thing to do for any business, is to not, because it's natural to let things bother you. But when you have, a group of clients that are buying a home, they want to be the only thought.
Yes.
And so I think it's hard in our business at times, because we all do go through things, relationship struggles, health scares, family is sick, someone's having a baby, like all these things that are going on. And then you have to now run a team.
Yes.
So do you struggle with that? Was that a big transition when you started an office, kind of being more in the HR side of things?
Absolutely. Yeah. That was probably another one of those situations that we didn't think fully through.
Yeah.
We thought, at some point we'll get HR. What are we going to get complaints for, right? They're all independent contractors, but we have assistants and we have different personalities now that we have to juggle. Almost 50 agents and 7 assistants that are in the office now. And we have to make sure that, personal issues are taken care of. And not just that, if there's a personal issue now, who's going to pick up their workload? Yeah. How are we going to make sure like whatever files they're handling are going to move forward? Hey, if you're having a personal issue, do we need to jump in? Do we need to step out? Yeah. Do they need help? Do they not need help? How is this going to affect the team or anybody around them too? A lot of those situations happen. Sometimes you have, and even that ends up coming back to the office too. Let's say you have a family death. Yeah, you take a couple of days off, but you come back to the office and now you're mourning, right? You're not feeling well at work. But you still got to get through your day. We got to be ready to mitigate all those sort of personal issues. And I think we do a really good job at it because, like you said, we have that chemistry at the office where it's all family.
And that's what I was going to say. I'm glad you used the word family, because that's exactly where I was going. Is I love the way you as a group come together. You hang out. You enjoy being around each other. Yes. And I think that makes these outside, issues. I'm spending more time each and every day with my work family at times than I am sometimes with other family members. So we have to be there for one another. Yes. We have to enjoy being around each other. We have to have a good culture. Yes. And what I always say, and I've said this numerous times on this podcast, is nobody's going to care about your business more than you.
Absolutely.
But you're getting all of them to buy into your vision.
Yes.
Okay. And the way that you do that is good culture. And treating it like a family.
Absolutely.
And on that, I think it's a great transition is, you obviously have recruited, most people start an office, okay, and they don't recruit 50 agents, okay? So you will be very modest about it. So I'm going to speak to it a little bit more. When people follow you in the manner that they have and you've built what you have, it's because they see something in you that they want to, buy into. They're buying into your vision, okay? So what has recruiting been like? Because that's a whole nother silo of starting a business. So what has that been like? Yeah. And kind of maybe we can unpack a little bit about, what you're looking to bring in more agents. Because obviously, as you grow your office, that's kind of the goal.
Yeah. I mean, recruiting has been DIY is what I call it. Yeah. As it comes, we go. I think I just focus on, again, building relationships.
Attraction? Is that what you say?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. And just like I told you at the beginning of my business, all I did was meet and go to anybody's house. I'm doing the same with my agents. Yeah. Hey, where are you? Let's meet up. Let's get lunch. You're having an event? Okay, I'll be there. I'll support your event. Can you help support mine? And in that way, I'm building those relationships. Yeah. I could tell you right now, like every single agent that we have at our office, we have built a relationship with them to make sure that, one, they feel comfortable. It feels like a family. We're doing events within the office that they're comfortable with. And it's not just all real estate, because again, real estate is stressful, it's boring. Yeah, yeah. We had Thursday night football at the office. Yesterday, we were watching a scary movie at the office, and they were painting pumpkins. We're doing raffles for them so they could get gift cards. We're trying to keep it as engaging, as fun as possible, because at the end of the day, this business is boring and stressful, right?
Who handles a lot of that for you? Is that something you do collectively?
Yes, absolutely. It's collectively, but I can't take all the credit for it. Yeah. The girls, they do so much. Jasmine, Andrea, Giovanna, the assistants are just out of this world. They just take care of everything that we need. And even not just that, even the the team's assistants, our agent team's assistants, they help out as much as they can. Because again, it's a collective.
Yeah.
Everybody's helping each other. Agents come in like, hey, if we're putting an event together, hey, do you need me to come in early and help out and set up? I'm like, oh my God, that'll be amazing.
What do you think the biggest difference is for a realtor if they're getting in the business or already in the business? What's the biggest difference? Obviously, everything you just said, but someone that comes to your office, what's that? Obviously family, culture, but what does that look like for someone coming into your office?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, look, and you're talking about a new agent or anybody in general?
Anybody, yeah.
There's two things to it, right? One, you want to be comfortable with your office, but I would say that's actually number two. Yeah. Number one, overall, it's all about mentorship. Because maybe you don't seek, or maybe you have enough problems at home that you can't really be at the office, but you need to get your business moving. I'm a big believer, you have any problem, we'll close more deals. Right? So money solves everything. Yeah. And in that situation, that's where it comes down to. Mentorship is the biggest factor in whatever brokerage you're planning on joining. And that's what where we're at, because you got not just two mentors at the office, right? Two managing brokers, but you also have big teams, big agents that are willing to help, because that's the culture that we set up. We have, like I just said, over 4+ assistants that are always ready to help, that know the process to help whenever you need to.
And I want to unpack that a little bit, because I think most training at offices is like two people that do the training on all the different types of training. One of the things you do, and you touched on it, because I can relate to that at Guaranteed Rate, is we like when other loan officers give us what they do. And all the training a lot of the training you do is your realtors.
Yes.
Okay, I noticed Emily was, giving a class. So, can you talk to that a little bit? Because it's a different, I think realtors respond to that more when it's one of their own.
Absolutely.
Rather than someone teaching them. Because then it's mentorship, not teaching or a class or anything. It's more a conversation and going through. So can you talk a little bit about that? Because I think that is a big reason for someone to consider your office, is because they're getting information from all the people where, and I'm sure you're aware of this, you've been in an office before where nobody wanted to share anything.
Yes.
It was, and I've been, when I was at my previous company, you asked a loan officer what they did, they wouldn't tell you anything.
Yes.
But when I came here, our number one loan officer, who happens to be the number one loan officer in the entire country for every lender, shares everything.
Yes.
So can you talk a little bit about that? Because I think that's a huge benefit for your office.
Absolutely. I mean, in regards to the trainings, we try to have our agents be involved with them as much as possible. And we want to have a focus in which something that they're strong at.
Yeah.
For example, Emily's strong with buyers. We wanted her to do a presentation on buyers. You will learn more by coaching someone to do it than by you applying it yourself. So that takes you to the next level of mastery. So that's what we want to push our agents to master their subjects and teach them to others. Yeah. By doing so, they're going to become a master themselves, right? Become an expert in that field. We have so many different agents that do different things, and that's why we want to share that with everybody. You're right. There was offices that didn't want to tell me anything. I was looking into help to building my team. They wouldn't even tell me how much they would pay their assistant, what their roles were, etc. And I had to figure that out for myself. But once I figured it out, it was nothing big. It was, and not just that. I always think about one thing. One of my mentors taught me was basically there's 87% of realtors fail after the first year. Yeah. So he put it into a picture for me. He's like, look, every event you go to, 1 out of 10 agents there are going to tell you good advice.
That's great.
Basically. So then I took that in, and he's like, and that one agent that tells you that good advice, 1 out of 10 agents he tells it to probably will not do it. Yeah. So again, even if I share everything, and I'm an open book with all of my business, I tell them exactly how I ran my business. One, you may apply it, you may not. It may work for you, it may not, because everybody's business is different. And our goal at the office is literally to find out what works for you. Is it social media? Is it referrals? Is it cold calling? Is it mailers? Etc. We want to touch all different points that you're comfortable with and you are passionate about, because you're not passionate about them, nothing's going to happen, for them to actually take action and then figure out, hey, what sticks with you? Because I got different business partners and we have different business models, and our lead generation is completely different. So you got to figure out what sticks with you through that.
And I've noticed in your office, and congratulations, you're recently expanding your office.
Yes.
But I notice you have a lot of presence in the office.
Yes.
Okay. So is that by design, or is that the agents just wanting to be around each other?
No, it's absolutely by design, and the agents, to be honest, too. It's a little bit of both. We wanted the agents to literally be right next to each other. We call it the bullpen because we want agents to just share and help along each other. It does get pretty loud sometimes, but I love it when it's loud.
I know. I'm the same way.
I love it when it's loud because that tells me that they're just focusing on work and doing what they have to do. Someone comes to complaining about me about it being too loud. I'm like, great. And then let's move you somewhere where it's not. But that means everybody else is working.
Tom has this dream that he wants to do is he wants to have a full office and he wants to stand on the desk like the Wolf of Wall Street. Remember when he stands on the desk? He's like, we're not going anywhere.
We're not going anywhere.
So that's like his dream. So yeah. So, and I want to get back to this real quick is where do you see CloudGate, in 5 years?
Well, it's a great question. Literally, I think about this question every day. It gets me a little excited. The future is bright because I'm going to make sure it is. Big goal within next year, actually, already. We're going to open up Indiana. 100%. That's already in the works. So expanding, that's the whole goal. Expanding to other states and expanding hyper locally too. We're in the south side of Chicago right now. We want to dominate the north side and we want to dominate the west side.
Yeah.
We want to have as many locations separated as possible so we could dominate different areas of the business. Not just have different locations for our agents to work from. In 5 years, aside from in Indiana, I definitely want to be in Florida or Texas.
Yeah.
So the big picture within those 5 years is not just have minimum 3 offices in the Chicagoland area, is to have also offices nationwide.
Yeah.
And then from there, the sky's the limit.
Do you have to kind of pull yourself back sometimes? Because, I see the way you smiled when I asked you that question.
Yeah.
And I see, kind of your mind starts racing a little bit.
Yeah.
And I can see how important that is to you. Do you have to kind of pull yourself back sometimes because you don't want to get too ahead of yourself, or do you not think about that at all?
Just like before when we opened the office, I don't want to think about it. I just want to go. Yeah. We'll figure things out as we go. Is it going to be perfect? Nothing is perfect. Anytime you're opening an office, anytime you're opening a business, I'm sure anytime a new system comes up for you, it's not perfect. You just got to figure out how it works or make it better. Same thing here. We're just going to keep going and figure things out as we go.
I always say, like, for me, I almost have like amnesia a little bit. Like, I can have a great month and then the first of the month be complaining that my business sucks and, like I get the best month ever. And then the next day I'm like, oh my God, what's going to, like, I never really like celebrate too much, which it's not healthy. Okay. Yeah. But it also keeps me driving.
Yeah.
Because I'm not looking back. I'm always looking forward. And I see a lot of that in you because I see you kind of really pushing a lot of times.
Yeah.
And I love that about you because, when we started working together for the second time, we really hit the ground running pretty fast. And I feel like a lot of times you and I don't even need to talk as much because we kind of, my process, I know yours. It's worked really, really well for both of us. And I just want to say thank you for that because, I work with a lot of realtors, but I felt like when we reconnected after all that, it's been really special. And I feel like we're having an impact on your team, which I love. But I also appreciate the opportunity to help in the community because that, means a lot. I need other things that, to do outside of what we're doing. We try to help our community here. So I've enjoyed helping that. So I just want to say thank you for that. I guess where I wanted to kind of, before we finish up, have a little fun here. So if you weren't in real estate, okay, in a perfect world, if money wasn't an object, what would you be doing?
Money wasn't an object.
Yeah. So it just, if there was something that you would want to do that, that you've always wanted to do.
You know what? It's funny you say that. I was thinking about that. We always talk about it. If real estate goes down the drain, what are we doing?
Yeah.
I don't know why. I love to clean. So it would either be some sort of landscaping business.
Okay.
Or a power washing business.
Okay.
And I'm addicted to those videos right now.
Oh, the power washing videos?
I'm addicted to those power washing videos. I don't know. The algorithm got me. But they know me.
And is it just because when it's cleaning, it's kind of like, there is something about that that's very peaceful.
Yes.
And it just where it's clean. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like I am one of those that just cleans my house for fun sometimes. Just because I like things to be organized. And if, something were to change, that's probably the route I would go.
So what do you do? Like, obviously you're, I always love to hear what people do outside of work. Do you have a morning routine? Do you have... what's kind of your outside of the office structure look like? In regards
like before the office and all that?
Yeah.
So I'm not a morning person. I like to go to the gym at night. Okay. So I know a lot of people I get your miracle morning in. That doesn't work for me. I like to go to the gym at night, and that's literally my routine. It's at night.
Okay.
Because I like to have a clear head. When I go to the gym, my mind is racing. My mind is going, and I like to settle a little bit and kind of think things clear. Gives me time to think. You know, when you're in the shower, you got to let that water run for a while, and you're in your thoughts.
I always use the word clarity.
Yeah.
Like you find clarity.
That's what the gym at night is for me. Not just that, it helps me sleep, and I wake up in a much better mood.
See, for me, I have to work out in the morning, because if I work out at night, I'll be up for like 3 hours. For whatever reason, when I work out, like I'm charged up.
For me, it's more so like, let me tire my body out so I can get some sleep. Otherwise, I will not sleep.
Yeah, no, that's great. So, well, I just want to say, Jose, it was awesome to finally sit down with you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, I appreciate, all the work that we've done, but I also want to say this. You've been very, very good to me over the years, and I just want to say thank you. But I also want to, commend you, because I see, we touched on it a little bit, but I see all the things. Again, this business is all about us. There's so much. You get the awards. You do. Everything that you do is about everybody else. I see a lot of you taking care of the community.
Yes.
I see a lot of you taking care of your team. I see you, doing so much for everybody else. And I just wanted to say thank you, because it's inspiring to watch for someone who's been in the business for 5 years. You see people come into this industry all the time. You don't see the trajectory that you've been on very often. So it's been inspiring to watch you, but it's even been more inspiring to see everything you've done to the community. You've made me think twice about things I need to do. And I'm like, well, I don't give out I got to do something. Like you've made me think about things that are more important.
Yeah.
And I just want to say thank you, because we need more people like you in this industry, and we need more people that care about their community. I think we would be able to help a lot more people than we do.
Absolutely.
So I just wanted to say thank you for that and congratulate you. And when these offices open up, we got to get back on here and talk about it, because there's going to be more lessons to be learned.
Absolutely. I'll be back here talking about that. I can't wait.
Okay. Anything else you want to say before we...
In regards to what you said in regards to giving back to the community, it's huge. You have to help others in order to help yourself too. You got to give back as much as you can, and it's just going to reciprocate back to you.
And I think that's why people want to work with you.
Yeah.
Not just from real estate, but also realtors. That's the law of attraction.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Not just that, and focus on giving a good job, of course. But if you really, really want to take that next step, that should be part of it. It's just giving back, giving as much value as you can, and then you're going to get that back.
Well, that's great. Well, again, Jose, thank you so much. Best of luck to Cloudgate in the future.
Thank you.
I'm looking forward to everything that comes out of that. I know you're going to have 100 agents before
that's
you
the
know
goal.
it. I know it. I know it's going to happen in the very near future. So when we get to 100 agents, we'll get on here again and we'll talk about it.
Let's do it. That's the plan.